You're listening to the VICK757 podcast featuring Dwight and Michael Vick talking all things tech.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the VICK757 show, talking all things tech. I'm your host, Dwight Vick, former all-conference offensive lineman and captain, along with my young cuz, the other host, Mike Vick, aka MV7, Heisman finalist and Player of the Year. Mike, how you doing, man?
Doing good, cuz. How you doing, man? I'm hanging in there.
Yeah, man, doing good, man. I seen you last Sunday on Fox, man, doing your thing, man, and I'm low key. I didn't tell you this, but I was telling some people the other day on Twitter. I'm low key rooting for one of your old teams this year, man. The Eagles.
Really?
I'm a huge Jalen Hurts fan, man. The reason why I rock with Jalen, because I don't know, but to play the quarterback position and to get benched on national TV the way he did against Georgia in the national championship, and Tua came in, and then he went to Oklahoma and did his thing, and now, after a good rookie season, man, he's doing the thing in Philly, man. And my oldest daughter, as we were just talking about before we recorded this, Sydney is an Eagles fan, so she got me watching the Philly a lot more, man.
It makes more sense.
Man.
But a guy like Jalen, man, he's just a young man with a lot of fortitude. Like he all the outside noise, like he learned to block it out, and I think he learned that from that experience against Georgia when he was with Alabama, and then it took him on a roller coaster ride in terms of his football career. But that it hardens you, it calloused you, and made him a much better person and prepared him for this moment. So super proud of him, man, and happy for the Eagles organization too.
Yeah, man, and I'm happy. I'm happy for Philly, man. We're getting ready to chop it up with Tech, man. I'm happy for our sponsors too. I want to shout out our sponsors, Alexandria Restaurant Partners, Hall of Fame signings, and also the Hokie Way Foundation, along with the Commonwealth NIL, man. Also, as I talked to you earlier today, I want to shout out a guy we shouted out last week, Jim Ferrugio. He hit me up. He said, "Hey, Big Vic, we appreciate the love, man. We're glad to sponsor last week, but I left out some information. So I want to get this right for our listeners, especially our guys in Nova." Jim's business, he's the owner and founder of Building by Design Incorporated. They're located at 7501 Wolf Run, Shoals Road, building number 2, also Fairfax Station, Virginia. You can reach them at 571-436-3461. It's a Class A license, bonded and insured. Also, Building by Design Incorporated is Northern Virginia's preferred home remodeling company that focuses on complete kitchen, bath, and basement renovations. Also, make sure you like them on Facebook, and you can check them out on their website at BBD, that's B as in boy, B as in boy, D as in dog, contracting.com. Like them on Facebook. I actually talked to Jim. He's looking to jump on with us full-time next year as a sponsor. But also, I'm going to talk to him, as I told him, because I got to get my kitchen remodeled. That's something me and the wife have been talking about.
Hey, Jim, I'll be calling too, Jim. Hey, look. Hey, you show you love and you show us love back.
No doubt. But yeah, man, once again, that's bbdcontracting.com. So we're talking all things tech, man, and our Hokies had a bye week last week. So you and I took some time off to take care of some family business, regroup. And Virginia Tech also took care of some business. We got Danny jumping on here in about 5-6 minutes. But we saw where Pry talked about, basically, man, they did some self-scouting, and he just came out, which I love, man. He said the offense, as a team, we got to play better. But he said offensively right now, we're too vanilla. He said we wanted to be more of a too tight end personnel group, run the ball, play action. But right now, we are not in a position to do so. So they're going to open things up. Grant Wells, the starting quarterback, came from a conference where he slung it around. He was a more of a wide-open passer. They do have some solid receivers. The offense really hasn't been there consistently. They've shown flashes. And the thing about it is, other than the North Carolina game, they've been in a lot of games where they were right there making plays. Miami, a few weeks ago, Miami jumped on them 20-0, and then Tech, like they've been doing, they kept fighting and clawing and scratching. Grant Wells led a couple of touchdown drives. The next thing you know, it was 20-14, and they ended up losing 20-14 to Miami. And the offense right now is basically the hot topic for Virginia Tech fans, Mike. So this is a big week. We open up Thursday night. We're back on Thursday night, this time on the road against NC State, that's ranked 24th. Speaking of quarterbacks, they're without their starting quarterback. So even though this is on the road, Tech's been off some, and they got a chance to show us what they've been working on.
Yeah, and it is easy to generate offense. I mean, I'm being real. I can watch them and look at some of the things that they're doing and know, like, and I wanted to watch everything closely, as this season progressed. And I think Pry's right on track in terms of turning it up a little bit, opening it up, and just seeing what you can do with the guys on your offense. Now is, we 2-5. It's time to start plugging guys in. It's time to start trying things, seeing what you can get away with, and honestly to start gearing up for next year. And hopefully it'll be an influx of some good young talent. I think that's going to happen, and get a chance to do it again next year. So year one in the books, man. We're not chalking it up. The only thing I'm saying is that you get a chance to get a look, and why not expand the offense a little bit more and start throwing some different things out there. And even as a coach, you get to see, like, what am I good at? What's my niche? How do I get my guys going, talent versus my play calling? And it has to run parallel. So, that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, and to your point, Mike, the people forget, I know Tech fans don't, but Coach Pry's specialty is defense. He's still calling defense for Virginia Tech. Coach Marv is also, which is good. Yeah. And part of the self-scouting he did, he basically, I'm paraphrasing here, he said, well, look, if I'm looking at this offense and I'm coaching against it as a defensive coordinator, this is what I would do. So obviously he's looking at that with that eye, well, I would shut y'all down. So I know other quality defensive coordinators feel the same way. Yeah. So I don't think it's really a shot at Tyler Bowen, the offensive coordinator. I think it's really about accountability. You and I are big on accountability. Yeah. You and I played the game. I think it's not solely on the offense, but look, Virginia Tech's defense, they held Miami to 20 points. At one time when they were playing Pitt a few weeks ago, it was a 2-point game. The defense didn't get to stop, but basically it takes a team effort. But in today's game, college, high school, and pro, you got to be able to score points. You just got to
without a doubt. I mean, you got to score points and you got to play defense. And for one, defenses win championships, but the offense got to put points on the board in order for the defense to have some momentum. And if that's not happening on a consistent basis, then everybody start to feel like we're struggling. We're not going to score points. The defense start feeling extra pressure. And then the offense, they feeling pressure. And offense is exciting, man. You can come to a game. You can have the number one defense and ranked number one in the country. And you can have the 20th ranked offense. It's still not as exciting watching defense as watching offense. So, like I say, because it's a lot of things to pull from, a lot of teams to pull from. I think it's a great spot for the offensive coordinator to be in terms of stepping it up another notch, not only for the kids, but for him moving forward in the future. And I think that'll just help him in terms of being a play caller and knowing what you got on the field, knowing what guys can do.
Let me ask you this question.
Got to be a good self-scout too, a talent.
Yeah, well, I'm actually glad you said that because you do a lot of stuff with Fox. You've been on Colin Cowherd stuff. You've been up there with, the Undisputed, all the different shows you've been on. You also do your camp series during the summer, you and the V7 series, also with Andre Kendrick. When you were playing, even though you break down film, you deal a lot with NFL quarterbacks right now. When you were playing for Andy, and even back in your Atlanta days, but I'll just stick with Andy Reid because you guys had great chemistry together. And he's a great offensive mind. Did you ever watch a game? I know when you weren't playing, you were with your family, but did you ever watch a game or see something and like, hey, Andy, we should put this in. I saw this play. I saw the Chiefs do this. Or because my whole thing is, I'm asking this, Mike, for our listeners and our viewers. I watch games after Tech plays, or I watch a game even in high school. I'm like, that is a dope play, man. Like, I think we should run that. Like, you watch Florida State do something, or UNC, which has a great offense. I just think, you know what, if you see another thing working, I remember Stein Spring one time, He told me he saw a team, Oklahoma play. He put it in his offense where he had Tyrod. Did you do
Right.
that with Andy when you played? Did you go to Andy and say, "Hey, we should, mix it up some and do this"? Did you guys have that relationship where you could give him some suggestions?
Yeah, we had that relationship, but Andy was always Andy. If you watch his offense now, like his evolution and of his offenses, like he was always ahead of the curve. Like he was always 5 years ahead. Like when he drafted Donovan and just to make a long story long, like I learned so much, and I was so fortunate to be around him. I learned so much about offenses, and once you learn how a guy think, like Andy is all about kind of like tricking you. And so I learned, and now why I was so successful, why he was so successful, is about setting you up, tricking you, setting you up, showing you something, doing something else. And so that's why when I look at offenses, I'm always like looking for more. Like, are you motioning? Are you moving guys? Are you doing jet sweeps, speed sweeps? Are you doing screens? Like, are these guys like having fun? Is everybody touching the ball? Because I was around, everybody had to touch it. Jack, Shady Macklin, Jason Avant, Selleck, everybody got a touch, similar to what the Chiefs look like now. So you got to find all those pieces and bring it all together, so everybody touch it. Everybody got to touch it.
Yeah, no, that's actually, I like that. And I think something you said, and I pointed at you, and I agree. I think you validated one of the things I've seen or not seen this year with Tech on offense is the fact that you got to have fun. Like, I know when I played, it was a grind out game. We ran the ball on third down, but at the same time, once we knew our identity and what we specialized in, I had fun. We had fun. I remember going after the series, even if it led to a field goal, I would tell Steinspring and Coach Buster, I'd be like, "Hey man, they can't stop this. Let's run the toss next time." Like you got it.
The flow,
the energy,
get that
the
feel,
flow
for the
flow.
game.
Yeah, having fun, man.
Right. A rhythm. It's called rhythm. So this is what Andy believe. This is what Andy believed in, and then we bring on Danny because we can talk all day like this. Yeah. Andy believed in getting everybody into a rhythm, himself included. So I'm in a rhythm, Shane in the rhythm, Jack in the rhythm. Everybody. Now receivers might not as much, but it's important for running backs and quarterbacks to be in the rhythm, and then because it creates rhythm for the offensive lineman. Y'all get into a flow, run blocking flow, pass blocking flow, picking up blitzes. Awareness.
Yeah. No doubt, man. No, it's good, man. And speaking of awareness, one of the guys that's always on time and aware, Danny Noakes joins us this week. We're back at it with his Noakes segment, sponsored by Hall of Fame Sports Signings. Hall of Fame Sports Signings puts on the biggest show in Cooperstown, featuring all of the baseball Hall of Famers. They do multiple events in New York and New Jersey with basketball and football's biggest stars. They bring athletes from events to all over the country. Like them, follow and subscribe to their social media at Hall of Fame Signings. And most importantly, stop by some of their events and websites to make sure if you can't get to an event, you send them some paraphernalia and get it signed. Danny, 1067 is the own. Danny, what's good with you, boss?
Not too much, gents. How we doing?
Doing great, man. Good to see you.
We were just talking about just to bring you into to our conversation. Maybe you can share some thoughts on it. Obviously, Tech was on the bye last week. And I know you and I saw it. I was updating Mike on it. He was traveling, and I was telling him about how Pry was upfront and honest about the self-scouting this week, given the fact he's a defensive mind. He basically said, I'm paraphrasing here, that our offense has been vanilla, not inspiring, not pretty much predictable. Mm-hmm. Now, needing to open it up. They wanted to be a two tights personnel group, play action, hard-nosed running team. But right now, that's just not working. So they're pretty much going to open up the playbook. What are your thoughts on that, man?
Well, I first give credit for Virginia Tech's head coach Brent Pry for acknowledging that they made a mistake, right? They did not have a good game plan going into this season on how their offense would operate, and he essentially admitted that. So he deserves a lot of credit for that because that's something that the other coaching staff was not willing to admit. They did not admit their own mistakes, even as glaring as they were and as frequent as they were, especially towards the end of that. But I give him credit for doing that. And looking deeper at what they had planned for the season, you kind of have to wonder exactly what they were thinking, considering you didn't have Malachi Thomas for the first several games of this season. You knew you weren't going to have him for the first several games of this season. You knew he was also your best running back, and you were still trying to line up and beat teams at the line of scrimmage and just run the football on him. And to their credit, it actually worked sometimes, right? When they were able to get Keyshawn King going a little bit when he was healthy, they were able to have a little bit of offensive success. But at the end of the day, yeah, it was very vanilla. There were 4th-and-1 calls that from the shotgun were just mind-boggling, and in their both decision to actually run the play and their execution, both were bad. So I've said this before on the segment, boys, and it comes down to not only are the players still figuring things out, they're still buying in and getting used to Brent Pry and all the new stuff that he's brought with him. Well, the coaching staff is also still adjusting because this is a very, very young coaching staff, brand new offensive coordinator, brand new defensive coordinator, and a brand new head coach. So they're all still learning, and there is still a lot to be learned. But I give him credit. He knows that some things need to be changed. He admitted a mistake, and let's see what happens now as they go up against a ranked team this week.
Yeah. I mean, Dan and Dwight, I mean, do y'all think this was a time to come out and say that the offense was underperforming? Because, I mean, look, we're coming off a bye, and it's been a tough couple weeks. And you're pretty much saying, look, everything is going okay. It's just the offense right now. And so, that has to be justified now. All eyes will be on the offense. Do y'all think we have the talent to go out and make it look different? I mean, in such a short period of time.
Dwight, do you want to start? I was going to ask you if you wanted to kick it off.
Well, I mean, I'll just be quick because I know this is your segment, but I mean, I get what Mike's saying. I think, and to be fair, he talked about the defense too, and he's definitely going with more younger and active players. The offense obviously got more attention because I think for Tech fans for years, it's always been, minus the years with you, Mike, and Tyrod and Brian Randall, there have been a lot of other years where the defense continued to carry the load for Tech, and Virginia Tech fans, other than those first few years with Fuente, when he had Isaiah Ford, Bucky, and Cam, we are desperate for an offense because, the defense, has been our calling card, except for those seasons I mentioned. I will say this, and Danny, you can touch on it. The defensive accountability piece Mikey did, and I thought this was also huge, and this shows that he is about business, is Pry retired the lunch pail for right now. He put the lunch pail on the shelf. He said, right now, this defense isn't worthy to carry the lunch pail. And I thought that was real. Danny, yeah, man, Danny, your thoughts on Mike's question?
I think he's challenging his players a little bit here, and that's exactly what he was doing by shelving the lunch pail. And it's a really good point. If anybody knows that his defense is not performing up to what they're capable of, it's Brent Pry, former defensive coordinator at Penn State, and a guy that's an all-around great defensive mind. And that's why the defense is currently carrying them right now, as you were kind of alluding to, Dwight, because that's where Brent Pry's strengths are, is on the defensive side of the ball. But Mike, back to your question, I think it's a really good one, right? We're about halfway through the season at this point. So is it the right time to basically admit that, hey, we're going to have to kind of try and change things up here to really get to a point where we're moving forward? And I don't have a problem with it. I'm okay with it because the way that the offense started out in that Miami game was mind-bogglingly bad. I mean, there are some instances where they come out of the gates in these games early, and there is absolutely no spark offensively, and it puts them in a hole. And this has happened. This has really been the last two games, right? Pittsburgh and Miami were similar and different for a lot of different reasons. But I give them credit for the Miami game. It seemed like it was over, but they didn't quit. They come back. They get it to 20-14. They make it a one-possession game. But the offense didn't get going until too late in the game. It was too little too late by then. And with Pittsburgh, it was a little bit different because they actually did get out to a decent start. Then they sort of lost momentum, and Pittsburgh kind of pulled away because Pittsburgh was the better team. It's going to have a bunch of all ACC guys on it, including Abanikanda. But I think they're all still figuring things out, and obviously it's going to take some time for them to do that. And the expectations coming into this season were probably even a little bit higher than they should have, and they weren't even really that high.
And I'm glad you said expectations, because I think we all can remember about a month ago, we all kind of came to the conclusion that as we looked through the schedule, we was like, it could potentially be like this on our show.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising. it's good that coaches, taking the onus and got, other guys, being held accountable. I think that's where it all starts, man. It's like true leadership at its finest. And we all know that, Pry's taking over a team that was, pretty much recruited by Fuente. So, this where the work starts. And this the cool part about it, us as alumni, we all gonna stick together in this, and we'll see our way through. And I can't wait to be hosting this show and talking about this 2 to 3 years from now, and just seeing how we grow, man. So we'll look back at these shows and say, all right, we kind of manifested this. And this is how it's happening.
Yeah, no, these are definitely growing pains, and it's one of those things where at first I was, optimistic because I looked at the schedule. I didn't think it was easy, but I thought there were some favorable games where early they can get a cushion, Danny. And then, they had some tough losses, and those losses, many of them they led to start. The interesting thing about their last couple of losses is after they lost those games, the team they lost to the following week went and laid an egg. They went to bed. Pittsburgh, surprisingly, with their great running back, got smashed by Louisville. And then Miami turned the ball over 8 times at home and hosting Duke. Duke beat the brakes off. I mean, Duke, a team with a first-year coach that is emerging as a low-key dark horse coastal favorite. They, but I think right now UNC actually has that lead. But it's interesting, man. Danny, how Mike touched on, which I agree with, man. Like, this is the accountability and rebuilding process. Looking at NC State Thursday, they lost their starting quarterback. They were favored to challenge Clemson in that Atlantic division. Last year beat Clemson in a great game. They've got great talent. They got our guy, Coach Charlie Wiles, down there.
That's right.
That's coaching defensive line. NC State is a team, ironically, Tech, like North Carolina, really like the state of North Carolina. Virginia Tech, and I believe I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I've reviewed this. I think since entering the ACC, Virginia Tech has beaten NC State every matchup. When they had Jacoby Brissett, that year Marcus went down there. Yeah, Marcus went down there that one year with the receivers, and Marcus led us to a win down in Raleigh. It was a big game. So, right now NC State favored by double digits. It's a Thursday night. We're on the road coming off a bye week. Hokie Nation, Danny, wants to know from you, I'm putting you on the hot spot. What should we expect?
Well, you're putting a lot of pressure on me by
I didn't ask for a point spread. I don't want to ask, seriously, what should we expect? Like, because this is our first time seeing Pry and his staff off a bye week. NC State, that's a raucous crowd. They're ranked 24th. They still have a chance to win the division. They haven't played Clemson yet. It's a conference game. Virginia Tech, as bad as we are, we're not going to win the Coastal, but mathematically we're still alive. The Coastal's been proven to be a wishy-washy division. So I'm just asking, as far as your gut feeling, what do you think is going to pan out, or what should we expect to see?
Well, I think this game on Thursday is going to be a lot of, at least it's going to start off as a lot of run stuffing. I think both of these teams defend the run pretty well. I think I just saw NC State's 34th in the country against the run. Tech is right around 50, 51, just kind of depending on which place you go to and how they go about calculating it. But so I think that there are going to be two very good defenses out there that are going to come out and limit the opposing offense's ability to move the ball at first. But, at some point, I think it'll probably look like the Pittsburgh game. NC State being a raucous crowd. They have a lot of talent on their roster, despite despite the fact that they lost their starting quarterback for the rest of the season. So I think Tech can hang. I think Tech can hang with pretty much anybody, maybe with the exception of Clemson, who is loaded as they normally are. Their quarterback is probably the weakest part of their team right now. And DJ Uiagalelei, despite being pulled this past weekend, is still going to be the starter there. But I digress.
Wow. He got benched.
Yep.
Yeah, for that phenom freshman they got. Yeah, it was kind of
club.
He agreed. Yeah, he's a phenom freshman. I mean, he is a phenom. And to DJ's credit, he said, you know what, if I was Dabo, I would have pulled me too.
Yeah. And what's funny,
I mean, honesty is the best policy, but man, we need some phenoms.
Yeah.
We need some phenoms. It's time to go get the phenoms, baby.
I went on
get out there and get some phenoms. They out here too.
They are.
Look, I will say this. we mentioned Louisville smacking Pitt, correct?
Yeah.
A lot of those kids, they be from this area, they be from Florida. And you think about some of our teams, man. I know I'm shifting gears, but a lot of our guys was Florida guys. We had that mixture of Virginia guys, Florida guys, and we, I think we got to get back to that at some point.
Well, no, I'll say this, Danny. I'm gonna let you finish your point. I'm sure everybody that saw me tweak this, and I know it was trending Friday night because there really wasn't a lot going on unless you went to baseball. Brent Pry was in the 757. He was at Darling Stadium. My dad actually was over at Phoebus and ran into him, and they had some words, chopped it up. And then later that night, he was at the Woodside Phoebus game, hit the entire Peninsula District. And then I don't know if he got to the South Side, but the head man was at Darling Stadium. So, listen, help is on the way.
Yeah.
But Daddy, I want you to wrap up your point. You finished with NC State though.
Yeah. I mean, they're I thought that game, we got off on a little bit of a tangent, but I thought that Clemson Syracuse game this past weekend was going to be like the Clemson Syracuse game from 4 or so years ago when Kelly Bryant was the starting quarterback for Clemson, and that was basically the last straw before they gave Trevor Lawrence the keys to the Cadillac, if you will. And I thought that this was going to be the passing of the torch again, and it would be Clemson's next version of Trevor Lawrence, but that hasn't happened just yet. We'll see. But the game itself, yeah, I think it'll probably look like the Pittsburgh game. I don't want to get anybody's hopes up, but to speak on what you guys have been talking about, help being on the way, being in a rebuilding phase, right? I saw a graphic. I think this was from Tech Sideline. I'm looking at it right now. It is a Virginia high school composite recruiting rankings. Dwight, I know you saw it because you commented on this on Twitter. And a lot of people, you look at this graphic and it's color coded. So the players are coded by color in which the school that they'll be going to, they've committed. So I think 5 of the top 10 here in the state of Virginia are going to Penn State. You got a couple going to North Carolina. You got a couple going to one Virginia, one Tennessee, right?
Yeah, UVA got a couple guys.
Yeah. But so if you look at this graphic, Tech's got more color on here than any other team by far, by about 2 times as much as any other team on here. And everyone is right there in the middle of the rankings. Yeah. And so I know Dwight will speak on this. Those rankings can be off. They can be very off, and that can be good or bad. But what it means is they're out there trying to make this program better, and they're trying to do it with kids that have grown up here in Virginia and they're playing high school football in Virginia. So I think that they're still doing all the right things, that they're just still learning about, in-game management. And I think that that's to be expected for a lot of new head college football coaches.
And Danny, those guys in the top 10, minus the one UVA guy, because UVA has one. Carolina and Penn State have they've cornered the top 10. Yeah. But in defense of Pry and Price and Pearson and DJ and those coaches at Tech, those were the seeds planted by by Dre Bly and their coaching staff and Penn State's. Right. So they had the leg up. So he's making them ground for Fuente, because a previous few years ago when Fuente was there, out of the top 45, 50 kids in Virginia, Tech did not sign one.
It's crazy.
So you're looking at what you'll start to see. I'm not a recruiting guru, but I did work for 247 Sports and Rivals for several years, as you both know. Yeah. You plant your seeds in recruiting. So with Pry, you're going to see the 24s, the 25s, the 26s coming to fruition when they start coming. Because right now, he's offering guys that are in 9th grade in Tidewater and in Richmond and Nova. He's offering guys in 10th grade. So there's a guy he offered named Remington that Tech offered. I know him. He's a big safety up here in the Northern Virginia area. He's also heavy in Richmond. So again, seeing him, I can say this, in Fuente's 6 years, I never saw anybody from that staff at Darling Stadium standing watching the entire game at Phoebus and Woodside. Yeah. So that speaks volumes. And I mean, Mike's right. We got to get a phenom, but Danny, just to remind Mike Vick ain't just walking around. It's crazy. I mean, we got Lamar Jackson, but it ain't too many oops running around. You know what I'm saying?
You got to bring it. The thing is, you got to bring it out of them. See,
that's
I wasn't
also
highly
true.
recruited. I wasn't highly recruited.
That's true.
And if you ask anybody, Dwight, I mean, probably the people as closest to us, they would have said Ronald Curry was way more athletic than me.
Yeah. Yep.
A guy with the right program, I was coached by the right person and the right people.
Yeah.
And I had the mental fortitude. I was able to learn. And I think just playing quarter, when I say phenom, it's not just about getting a guy who can run and throw.
Yeah.
It's about getting a guy who can have poise and think his way through a football game. And so he can, and not just that, be a leader and make everybody else better, but that's another story. So we don't have to go out and get these top guys. It don't have to be the number one player in the country. No, just get a guy.
Yeah.
We got enough people around to make them better.
That's a great
I share
point.
my 15 years of NFL experience in college, 18 years of college and NFL experience with them. We got means that opportunities to do that now. And so I'm super excited about the future because, like Dwight said, help is on the way. And this is the reason why we support this school the way we do. And that's the way we do.
The last thing that I'll add to the recruiting conversation and the rebuilding as well is that Pry's recruiting against himself to some degree, right, Dwight? Because he was coming down into Northern Virginia. Those Penn State guys were recruited by Pry at Penn State.
Coach got some work to do, but it's all good.
Yeah, hey, he knows what he's doing. He's doing the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough situation for him. But look, man, Penn State is Penn State.
Yeah,
that's Penn State. Look. It's Penn State. We from Virginia. We from VA. So all my people from Virginia who listening to this and follow our show and follow what we're doing, we look forward to just continue to be a major asset to the school, man. We're gonna get this right. I can't wait.
Yeah, me too, man.
The right coach and offensive lineman one day.
after Isaiah and Lauren get off the school. But I'll say this, man, before we let you go, Danny, man. I think Mike's right, man. I think, Tech fans, you're on with me, Danny, and I do a lot of radio too. Actually, you and I got some coming up Friday night.
Friday.
The Fan DC.
That's right.
For Tech fans, it's a proud fan base, and it's tough because I just want to remind everybody, this is Virginia Tech's first ever rebuild, and rebuilds are tough. They're tough because, you want to cheer on your team, you want to see them win, and then you turn on the TV. And they're playing, whatever team, and they're in it, and then all of a sudden, the other team makes game-winning plays. But this is a process, and there's a beauty in the struggle, and it's tough right now. But look, we got some kids, and you guys follow me on Twitter. Caleb Woodson, big safety out of Battlefield. I'm high on him. Lauren Johnson's son is an absolute dog. Danny, you saw my comments, how I said there's some people in here that should be much higher.
Underrated.
They're not ranked appropriately.
Yep.
So again, because like Mike said, he wasn't highly recruited. Cam Chancellor wasn't highly recruited. Corey Moore wasn't highly recruited. John Engelberger wasn't highly recruited. A lot of guys were overlooked.
That don't matter. We embrace the underdog role.
That's right.
Yeah.
Danny, I embrace
you, buddy.
It's gonna happen. You see this? It says ACC champs. No one ever thought that was gonna happen to our basketball program. I remember when Buzz first got here, and I remember when he got his first win in the ACC against Pittsburgh, and it was 2 wins all season long. The next season, they only went to the NIT. Then they start going to the NCAA tournament regularly. Then he leaves, and everyone thinks that we're going to suck again. And then we go in and we win the ACC championship in Coach Young's first couple of years. It takes the right people. It takes the right people to be in the right place, and I think Brent Pry is that guy. Yeah. Let's let them figure it out. And hey, maybe they'll shock us on Thursday night with a little bit of extra.
Yeah, let's go, man. Optimism. Dwight said it. Optimism. Let's go.
Let's go.
One for all for one. Let's get it.
Yeah, doubt, man. Optimism on 3. All right, Danny. I appreciate you.
Hey, appreciate you guys. We'll catch up again Friday night. Right? Later, y'all.
It's Danny Noakes of 106.7 The Fan DC, jumping in with this Noakes segment. Danny is my guy, your guy as well. Mike always breaks it down. That was a great segment, man, because we got to recruit, we got to get the players, we got to get the talent, but most importantly, man, there's still season left, and we got to make sure that we take care of business this Thursday night. Look, I look at it this way: when you play on the road, Virginia Tech, despite some of the best teams we've had in history, have had games in which we should have won against teams like Tech. So let's make a run, man. But moving on, man, we're joined by a very special guest in our Hokie Way former player spotlight. We're joined by Jared Ferguson, former fullback, Virginia Tech Hokies. Also, the strength and conditioning coach currently with the Hokies. Jarret, what's good with you?
Yeah. Man, everything's good. Can you all hear me all right?
Yeah, man. We hear you good.
Can hear
you,
you.
Mike?
Yeah. Nice
good,
little cozy office.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just finished up practice and was in here getting ready to talk to you guys. So looking forward to catching up with you guys.
Hey, Jerod, what you had the boys do today? What you have them do today? The deadlifts, power clean.
No, that's tomorrow morning with the scout team. We're gonna get some deadlifts in, some hand clean.
Okay.
Real good tomorrow morning.
Bar hang.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I had a guy do the bar hang today.
Nice.
Mike brought by the bar hang. Good Lord, I forgot. I used to get with that group.
The bar hang was beast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. Before we jump into it, Jarret, I got to read our sponsor, man. Shout out to the Hokie Way. Hokie Way is an independent nonprofit organization that will create active engagement with Virginia Tech student athletes with charitable goals, focus on helping them achieve their academic and career goals, athletic as well, including their name, image, and likeness, to advance the work of charitable organizations with aligned and collective focus NIL opportunities. So that's the Hokie Way sponsor in this segment. Jared Ferguson, you are now on deck, my guy. It's great to see you. We actually brought you up last week because Mike was joking during the Hokie trivia segment, or right before that time, where there was a play you guys bumped into each other.
I think I shouted Jarret out.
Yeah, you shouted him out. During the
Hokie.
He shouted you out.
Hey,
yeah, man.
Jay, we're gonna give you a chance to clear the air, man, for all the fans and all the people who blame that loss on you.
It's not the fans, it's Bruce
Garnes. Clear the air.
Bruce Garnes? He says Bruce Garnes?
Drake Kendrick swear that I blew the national championship game. And you know Drake gonna let you hear it. Like, bro, you turned the wrong way. Dre said if that was him at quarterback, he wouldn't have turned the wrong way.
Man.
No, it was a great moment, man. You know what? So since Dwight brung it up, man, talk about that game and what that game meant to you. And you know, guys really don't have a chance to talk about playing in the national championship in that season. Just kind of talk about what that season meant to you, and we already know what it meant to the team. But how did it make you feel making that run?
Man, I tell you what, man, with what we had back then, I think, you know, I truly felt that it was going to be a special season anyway. You know, you put in all the hard work in the off season and leading up to camp and everything. So we put in the work to have a season just like that. So it was special, especially coming from, you know, me. I'm coming from a small town, so that was really big in my area. Everybody, man, I think I had like 20 family members at that game. So that was big time for us, just to be able to come down there, my family would be able to come down there, and then on top of it, play with my brothers in that game. That was big time for us. And it was a big deal for Virginia Tech. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I loved it. I still can't watch it all the way through. I watched it until third quarter, then I turned it off, and that's it. You know, but it was a special game for us, a special game for the fans, and you know, you look back at it, and you're looking forward to the team try to get toward that again. You know, so we're gonna put in that work and try to get it going.
You know, Jarret, man, obviously we all played together, man. I was there when you came on. I was talking to my son and my family about you, you know, because my son is now 16, so he's starting to realize how good you were, and Mike and Sharon and all the guys we play with, you know, because, you know, we old school, but then he sees the clips and stuff. And I was telling the family about how I'm older than you guys. I remember when you got to Tech and you were a walk-on, and Linnell Slade, Melendez Bird's wife, told me to check for you, but I couldn't find you. Next thing I know, I hear about a guy just killing people in practice, running through people and just smacking people on ISOs. Obviously, the fullback position is no longer used, or at least it's more so an H-back. It's not a position everyone uses. But when you got to Tech, man, you immediately made a name for yourself. There's that great run you had against Syracuse my senior year, where you ran behind me and Derek Smith, and you had one shoe on out there just with one sock, one shoe. And then, you know, of course, there's the game, even though we lost my senior year against Wally Rayner, where you and Wally were going at it. And then after I left, man, you know, you had some great moments as well. And you and Cullen Hawkins and Wayne Ward, Brian Edmonds, the Tech fullback position in the 80s and 90s was elite. Do the guys there now, because, you know, I mentioned my son and how young he is, but we have YouTube and games. Do the players understand? Because I know the players that were there when you were coaching as a strength coach know what you mean for the weight room and their physical and mental development, but do they know how good of a player you were, the players there now?
I think some of the guys are starting to look back and see it now. You know, you have some of the young ones. There's a picture up right in front of the locker room of me standing there or running into the end zone. And they was like, Coach Ferg, is that you? And I was like, yeah, man, that's me. And they go back and they watch some of this stuff now. So it is pretty cool that they see that stuff. But I try to get them to watch some of this stuff just to get the tradition of Virginia Tech football in and so they understand what it's about. So anytime they start talking about me, I tell them, I said, man, y'all need to go back and watch some of these old games and watch these older teams and see how they played and see what they, you know, how their emotion on the field and I'll tell you about the work ethic because I know. And so, you know, it's all a education and teaching them about Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Dwight, you mentioned Cullen, and I think I shouted Cullen out in our Hokie shout-outs last year just because of how much of a leader he was and how much he meant to me being in the backfield. And Jerod, you was with him every day. Explain a little bit what Cullen meant to you as far as your development and how you try to teach that leadership amongst the young men that you're working with now.
Man, Cullen, man, you know what's funny? Cullen was here last weekend and
really
hang out with him and Brown and Wynn. And so,
that's what's
so I got the families together. We hung out a little bit, but man, having Cullen here, you know, especially coming in and starting off, you know, he was really big on, hey, we need to watch film. You know, both of us weren't very big. And so we had to watch film and study. So he was really good about getting us in there and watching film and breaking it down and helping us with the and stuff. And Mike, I don't know if you remember, but you know, I couldn't catch the ball really well.
Right? Yeah, I remember. You could run it, but you couldn't catch it.
I couldn't. So the problem was I couldn't see the ball. I used to wear contacts and I stopped wearing them. So they would put color in the game. We would laugh, and Coach Height made me go get contacts, and that's when I started catching the ball.
Oh, gotcha.
And so Cullen was like, man, what's the problem? So we would stay after, and he would have Coach Bustle. Coach Bustle would throw like 100 passes at me after practice.
Yeah.
But Cullen was like right there with me the whole time and making sure I was getting it in. And then, you know, just trying to keep encouraging me to keep going.
Right.
I was getting frustrated because I couldn't see the ball, especially when you threw it. It was like a doggone blur coming at me, and I bad eyes. So
that's a sign of a true leader, man. Because Cullen, man, you know, shaping and molding, you know, the next generation, the next guy who's going to be stepping in and taking on that role, man. I commend him for that. Once again, it's part of the reason I shouted him out in the Hokie shout-outs.
You know, Jared, before you jumped on, you may not know, actually, Danny Noakes, who joins us when we do our show weekly, the Noakes segment. He's also Virginia Tech grad, covers college sports, especially Virginia Tech. We talked about accountability and also the rebuild process. You were there when Fuente came in and, you know, you eventually left. You know, Cornell Brown left, Torian Gray, a lot of the former players, which I felt were an integral part of keeping that connection to these times we're talking about. Now with Pry back and running the show, now he's there seems to be a resurgence of making that connection on the field between, as you mentioned, the players there now and the guys like ourselves, because you're there, DB's there, Xavier DB, J.C. Price, Gavea Winslow, Pearson's son blocked a punt against Pitt. That was a special moment for me. With that being said, how are you guys as former players, guys that helped build this program, that carried the torch from the lunch pail to the links, all the different things we did? How is the morale right now? How are you guys keeping them focused? Because obviously we had Taiwan Garrett Garbett on here earlier in the show, this year, and he talked about how they really want to play hard and win. But obviously, with 2-5, tough matchup against NC State. How are you guys as coaches keeping the team up? How's the morale of the team right now?
Well, it's still pretty high because they understand that we got to keep working, and we're just plugging away and keep chipping away like we normally do, and they understand, like, all right, penalties and stuff, if we don't get those things, we're going to play better. If we're going to go out there and if we get an interception, that's going to help us go score the other way. So all these things we're keeping, we're going to keep those guys in that mindset of like, hey man, just keep plugging away and go to the next play. And a lot of times, we talk about the defensive back mentality. Man, if you mess up, sometimes you'll see teams just totally tank it and quit. Now they're starting to fight a little bit more. They're going to fight a little bit instead of giving up. We got to keep that mentality going and then carry it into our offseason as well and keep these guys rolling in that way.
That was going to be my next question pertaining to your question. Real quick, Dwight, I wanted to ask, like, if you could just look at the team now and over the last couple of years, because you've seen a couple of teams coming and going, and then you remember the teams that we had. As far as attitude, what do you think is the biggest difference between us and maybe the guys over the teams over the last 3 or 4 years prior?
Our mindset was a lot different, and I think simply because of Coach Gentry. Coach Gentry, and we talk about this all the time, is the stuff was so hard that if you could fight through it,
he made us push the truck.
Yeah, if you could get through that,
they ain't pushing trucks up there.
Not yet.
Oh my God!
Not yet. Hold on, Mike. But the new Gentry is on this show right now, sitting with us. Is Jerod gonna get Jerod bringing all that back? Trust me.
Hey, Jerod.
Yeah, but that's the stuff that we're talking about. Implementing some of the stuff that we used to do, and we talked about it, running the stadiums, doing different things.
Lord.
Tough and teaching the guys how to fight through adversity. Because y'all, like, if we could do that stuff, we could do anything.
Hey, exactly. Exactly. Coach Beamer, they looked at us like we was their kids, man.
Yeah.
And if you don't go to class and you don't show up here, you don't do this, we're gonna make you get up at 5 a.m. and run the stadium.
Yeah.
So the discipline part of it is good. I'm glad that we're talking about this because maybe it can help in the future. And I'm not talking about from a disciplinarian standpoint of chastising kids. Yeah, you go run the stadium. No, I know it's 20 years later, and it's a different world.
Yeah. And
kids operate different, parents operate different, and we got to understand that. So I'm not gonna go on a tangent on that, but I just want to say, it's about mindset and toughness, man. When it's all said and done.
Yeah.
And it's nothing wrong. Like, I would love for my son or my daughter to be coached by somebody who's going to tell them the same things that I would tell them as a parent. It's just in a different realm as a coach. And so it's good that I'm glad we're having this conversation because I think it's going to help our program moving forward and have people got to kind of go about their job a little bit.
Yeah. And you have
absolutely
learn athletes too. I mean, it's being a strength and conditioning coach, you talk to the players, you learn about their environment, where they came from. Not everybody comes from the same place. You got people that don't have anything, or you might have kids that have everything. So you have to learn those kids, and then you can implement how to coach them by what they're telling you. And that's what it is. It's about learning the kids, seeing what makes them tick, and then use that to help encourage.
The light bulb just went off.
Yeah.
We need Bruce Garnes back.
Look, I invited Bruce to come to the scout team list.
What you say? What you say about Bruce?
I told Bruce he needs to start coming back to our scout team because he's the one that talks so much junk. It don't matter who you were, he was gonna talk junk to you, and that would get these boys fired up, man.
And he gonna tell on you. And he gonna tell on you.
Speaking of Bruce, he's still in the program, and he's still there, man. But I had him on one of my Victory Life Legacy Spotlight, as I did you, Jarret. And Bruce Garnes, God bless him. That dude, that's my dude. He talks trash, but all jokes aside, that guy is a walking historian. He probably would kill it in our Hokie trivia segment because that guy knows. And to your point, Mike, I think that's why I'm excited. I keep trying to tell fans, but I think it's different for us because we helped build the program. Having Jared Ferguson there, helping getting those guys back to that mental toughness, the ball hang, flipping that tire in the field house when it was 110 degrees, praying for rain and air conditioning, running the stadium steps. I remember Jason would come in there and turn the radio off, and I'm thinking we're working hard. And he was like, "You're not focused. So you know what? Everyone to the stadium." And Coach Witten would give the linemen and linebackers weighted vests. And we had to run from the top of the stadium to the bottom to the top. But you have JC there, who last year in the bowl game before they played Maryland, he punched the wall because he was so hyped and he broke his hand. Mm-hmm. It matters to these coaches now. And I know it's X's and O's and executing and, scoring in the red zone, no penalties. But I think culturally, this team and these guys that are coming up and the guys we're recruiting, it's important, Mike, and you talked about this, and I take a page from your book. They got to know how to win. And I think when I look at us sometimes in games, they want to win, they're trying to win, but they still don't know how to make the game-winning plays where we did, where even if there was a botch snap, Mike, you jumped on it. Or you know what? Jarret realized that he needed a breather, but he would call in Cullen, or when he came to the bench, Wayne Ward and all those guys, Sharon and Lamont Pegues greeted him, and they would talk about the fronts and the scheme, staying after and getting some routes in with the receivers. That's the small things you do Monday through Thursday. So on Saturday, everyone's on the same page. I mean, Mike, you talked about it. We fought. You mess with us, everybody fought, even guys that weren't trying to fight. We had a brotherhood, and I think I see that forming, but that's why I'm excited because I see the coaches there. I just think Jarret and those guys get it. Jarret, before I ask this question to you, speaking of Mike, I was going to ask this earlier, but Mike had to make his point, which was cool. You and Mike and the whole thing. Do you remember at Miami with the overtime game when you and I bumped into each other in the backfield?
Yeah.
We on the road against Miami. This is Dan Morgan, Nate Webster, Ed Reed. The game we won in overtime. I'm pulling, and I bump into Jerod in the backfield, and we bump it. He's like, "My bad." I was like, "Bro," and I don't even know what Al did, but that was a funny moment. But speaking of knowing how to win, there's some players. I know you can't name everybody. But are there some players right now, some young guys, because Mike went to visit, he was there recently for the West Virginia game and he talked to the team. And I was there in the spring and, I'm going to try to get back again, but we don't see the day-to-day like you do. Are those guys buying in? And are there some guys that, right now on the horizon that we should keep an eye out for? I know you can't name everybody, but are there some players we should definitely look out for?
I mean, I think they are buying in because, they see where we can go. And so, like I said, we're still talking to these guys and we're training them. Like if we might lose the game and then we come back in on Sunday and I'm like, hey, this is the next day. We're going to the next one. And so we let y'all have the time last night to lick your wounds. We got to go to this next one. It's time to get back to work. So understand that part of it, and they go right back to work again. And we get on it. The young ones that I think are coming up, and I think y'all see the Mansour Delaney kid. I think he's going to be one. He's playing well. I really do like him, and he's working. He's starting to figure it out, and he's working. And so if that was the one I got to say, that'd be the one I talk about. So
yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I think it's exciting. I see some guys. I'm a 56. He plays DN. And then there's other guys. I mean, I like that cornerback. I don't have the roster in front of me. Danny takes care of all that. I'm bad with names, but he's a young
That's
guy.
not a good thing.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm bad with names even when we were young.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you should probably know a couple players by now.
No. I'm bad. This guy, he's a young guy because he played against Miami. He had some pass breakups, and his name escapes me right now. I'm sure somebody in the comments.
That's the kid, man. So
that's him. That's him. That's him. But yeah, but there's a lot of guys, man, that are making plays, man. Before we get into Hokie trivia, Jared, because I'm getting ready to go into that. But when you look at Pry, obviously they just did the Beamer special on the ACC network, and I saw where Pry had a lot of the guys on the team watch that, and it kind of took us back to where it all started. You know, Pry obviously brought you back. He retained JC, he retained Pearson. I know Justin Hamilton wanted to stay, and they wanted to work it out, but it couldn't happen. But he's got a lot of guys there, including the DB and Pearson, that understand. You have Coach Marv there, the coaching staff, the energy, the chemistry. Do you feel like right now, moving forward, this could eventually, I mean, I'm not trying to put you in the spot, but Pry, I mean, from what you've seen, man, like his energy and the leadership and the staff, you know, everybody, I mean, do you feel like everybody is like all in and it's just a matter of time?
Yeah, and I really did enjoy like especially when we were in spring ball, I really enjoyed just watching those guys coach, because I think all of them are really great people, but man, watching them coach, they were teaching, and that's what I'm about. I want to teach these guys, and for my part on this team is to help them enhance their athletic ability, and that's what I'm about. So I try to teach with detail, slow it down. You don't see me doing a bunch of stuff. I'm coaching them and teaching them. But watching them on the field, those coaches are teaching. And some of these guys are starting to figure out, like, man, we never learned this stuff before, whether it's down to the steps, hand placement, breaking off routes, how to decelerate, reaccelerate. There's all these different things that are getting taught that they said they didn't really truly know. They just wanted to play football, which is great seeing and hearing it from the players.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, now we're going to see how well you adjust, Jarret, and whether you're ready. This is a popular segment that all our fans love. It's Hokie Trivia. You can play along on Spotify while you're listening, or if you're watching us on the VICK757 Talking All Things Tech YouTube channel, you can play along as well, man. This segment is sponsored, by Alexandria Restaurant Partners. It was formed to manage these restaurants, plus new projects opened in 2015 and 2016, built with one goal in mind: to be the best in the nation, not the biggest, by achieving operational excellence, leading with integrity, and being transparent. Restaurants in the DC, Northern Virginia area, as well as Orlando, Mia's Italian Kitchen, Palette 22, Ada's on the River, Touchdown Wings and Burgers, as well as High Time Lounge and other restaurants. Visit AlexandriaRestaurantPartners.com to learn more about careers, private events, and to sign up for offers. So, Jarret, I'm sure Sharon maybe have warned you, or you've seen some of the clips we post on the VICK757 show Instagram account. We got 4 questions I'm going to ask you and Mike. You'll go first. It's multiple choice, 4 good questions. We're going to do the Hokie trivia. So the first one up, here we go. The Virginia Tech defense that holds the records for allowing 2,401 yards allowed in the season and 218 yards passing per game in the season. So this defense for Virginia Tech held opponents to 2,401 yards total offense for a season and 218 passing yards per game. One of the best, if not one of the best defenses in Virginia Tech history. Was it A, the 1995 defense, B, the 2007 defense, C, the 99 defense, or D, the 1980 Virginia Tech defense?
Man, I'm thinking it's 99 or 2007. I'm going to say I'm going to say 2007.
Okay. Jerry's saying 2007.
I'm going to say the 99 defense. That sounds like a championship defense to me.
Okay. All right. I just caught that. All right, here we go. Excuse me. The correct answer is the 1980 Virginia Tech defense.
What?
Yes, they held opponents
Who's on that?
to 218. Y'all, it's perfect. Mike.
Who's on that D? Bruce Smith?
You know what? I didn't go that far, but I will say this. I do the Hokie trivia with Isaiah and Shanice before, as I'm putting it together, just to get
that was a good one.
Familiar with. And she got that answer right because she said I'm sure it had to be the 1980 defense because they weren't doing a lot of passing back then.
Wow.
Man.
Wow. My lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Football
All
savvy.
right. Yeah. All right, man. Let's go quarterbacks. Here we go. This Virginia Tech quarterback holds the career record for the highest passing yards per game average with 253.3 yards per game. So this is the record for career average. Is it A, Will Ferrell, B, Logan Thomas, C, Jerod Evans, or D, Michael Brewer?
I'm gonna
What
go.
are you thinking, Jared? What'd you say?
Will Ferrier.
Will Ferrell. Jared's going A. All right, Will Ferrell. Cuz, who you got?
I'm going Will Ferrell too.
Okay. All right. Once again, you guys are close but wrong. The correct answer is Jerod Evans. In
Jerod
2000,
Evans?
in 2016, he averaged, you gotta remember, man, they passed. That was the Beamer's leftovers.
He
It
was
was
throwing, he
yeah,
was throwing it.
253 yards, man. I mean, he came in. They had that game against ECU at home where they scored 55 points, and he was quite the quarterback. He was only had 1 year, JUCO transfer, dual threat guy,
Yeah.
but
Wow.
yeah, he had a great season that year. Really great season. All right, let's see if y'all can end it on get these last two right. All right, running backs now. Which Virginia Tech running back holds the record for the most 100 plus rushing yards performances in a season? So this running back had the most 100-yard plus rushing games in a season. This is the record. Is it A, Sharon Stiff, B, David Wilson, C, Darren Evans, D, Ryan Williams, or E, Brian Leverett?
Okay, yeah. E, another one. That's a little tricky right there.
Yo, Mike, he is ED. That's Brian Leverett, ED.
All of the above.
Yeah. Oh,
I try to
man.
catch y'all off guard. No, don't count E. I'm just messing with my guy, Brian Leverett, man, ED. No, Sharon Stiff, David Wilson, Darren Evans, or Ryan Williams.
Man, I'm gonna go with Ryan Williams.
Okay. All right. Jared, you're going with Ryan Williams. Cuz who you guys? Is it Sharon Stiff?
I'm gonna go with B, David Wilson.
All right. Mike, you are correct. Jared,
Man.
you were wrong again. Yeah. David Wilson
I
had
got
10. He had 10 100 yards games in 2011. Remember,
was good.
He was good. Imagine Mike and David Wilson in the same
Oh
backfield.
man.
Man.
Yeah.
He was special. Yeah, that year he was. That was the year they went 11-3. They had 2 losses to Clemson, one of them in the ACC championship game, and then David Wilson and Logan Thomas and company went and lost to Michigan in the 3 overtime game in the Sugar Bowl. But David Wilson was the guy. Him and our guy Josh Oglesby. So all right, last question, and we're done with Hokie trivia for this show. Let's see if you can get one, Jared.
I know. Man.
Hey man, it's no joke. Here we go. This Virginia Tech wide receiver holds this is a bowl game record. This Virginia Tech wide receiver holds the VT bowl game record with 12 receptions with 227 yards. Both yards and receptions are a bowl game record. So it's 12 receptions for 227 yards.
Wow.
Was it A, Cam Phillips, B, Danny Cole, C, Isaiah Ford, or D, David Clowney?
Man, I'm gonna go with Cam Phillips.
I think I remember Cam doing something like that, man. For real, I really do think I remember Cam doing that. But I'm gonna go. Some telling me Clowney did that. I'm gonna go D.
Hey.
I just going Clowney. And who you going, Jared?
I'm going Cam.
Cam. Okay. All great selections, but all your answers are wrong. The correct answer was Isaiah Ford.
It was Isaiah. I knew somebody did that.
And the quarterback was Jerod Evans. It was 2016. And it was actually not Jerod Evans. Excuse me. It wasn't Jerod Evans, but it was in 2016. against Tulsa in the Independence Bowl.
Yeah.
We scored 55 points that game.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah Ford had 12 receptions for 227 yards. So
yeah,
great job, gentlemen. Regardless,
man,
good work.
To those at home, tweet me if you got all 4 right, or if you got all 3 out of 4 right. Regardless, man, thanks for participating. So, Jared, we're at the end of the show, man. This is a great part of the show, man, where we, me, Mike, and our guest, we shut out anybody that's a Hokie, whether it's an athlete, professor, someone that's done something significant in the community, man, teammates, coaches. Your chance to show love in this segment to a teammate. Again, a disclaimer, because Mike has always reminded me, Aaron Rouse went ham 3 weeks ago. He named about 17. You know, Aaron Rouse is a politician, so he was like, hey, yo, I got one more, Dwight. I got one more. So you can go 1 and 2 guys, and then we move on. But, you know, you can do it a team. But who is your Hokie shout-out that you want to show some love and gratitude to?
Man, I saw this guy a couple weeks ago. I'm gonna say Lamont Pegues. I'm gonna shout out Lamont.
Ooh, yeah.
Shout out to Pegues, man.
Goose. No
doubt,
man.
Pegues, bro.
He's down in he lives down in near Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
Working for the VA down there. And man, Lamont always does a great job of just checking in on everybody. You know, we tend to get busy and get caught up in family and work and everything. But man, I can count on it once or twice a month. Goose is out there. He's sending me a text, checking in on me to see if I'm doing all right.
Yeah, nice.
Going. And then I'm gonna throw my other guy out there is Ricky Hall. He'll call me once.
Ricky.
Yeah, Ricky Hall.
Rick, I said what up.
Yeah, man. He's over in Switzerland. That's where he's living.
Oh yeah, I always say Sweden. He's in Switzerland. Yeah. Man. Yeah,
Ricky Hall do look like the type that end up in Switzerland. Oh, Rico Suave. Suave.
Yo, no, that's actually a good one, man.
Shout out to Rick.
Shout out to Ricky and Goose, man. Great teammates, great brothers. I actually been trying to connect with Ricky, try and get him on, but the time difference is crazy, man.
Yeah.
He ain't gonna have me up at 3 a.m.
Ricky may do it. Don't he watch the games?
Oh, Jared? Yeah. You gotta call you at like 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning.
Bro. Yeah. What'd you say, Jared?
Ricky, he'll call you like 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Great dude, man. Great dude. Mike, who's your shout out?
My shout out is the guy we just talked about, and I think Jared brought him up. Bruce Garnes, man. Because I just realized the profound effect he had on us as men. And even though he was a pain in the rear, and even though he was annoying, he was a great dude at the end of the day, man. And he held you accountable. He didn't care who you was. He didn't care if you was Mike Vick, Dwight Vick. He didn't care if you was Jared Ferguson, Jim Drunken Miller. He didn't care who you was. He coming after you. And he gonna hold you accountable. And they told him to hold us to a standard when their backs was turned as coaches, and he did it, man. And it led to a lot of Wednesday mornings for some, and very little for some who was smart. And I was one of those. Not saying I'm the smartest man, but I was smart enough not to get in trouble to be running the stadium at 6 a.m. for no reason. We had enough of that. And so, just shout out to Bruce, man, for just being accountable as a man to us as young men.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Bruce, man. When he was on my Victory Life Legacy Spotlight, man, Bruce was just so knowledgeable, man, and he's got a lot of pride for Virginia Tech. He's been at Virginia Tech since 1987 or 1988, and he's seen the rise of the program, not just the athletic department, but the academics. This guy knows a lot of great athletes, but now in his defense, as far as just want to shout him out as well in regards to his accomplishments, now he's working closely with Mike Young and the basketball team. And a lot of times, man, even when Buzz Williams was there, he speaks to the team. He speaks to the players. If you watch Tech basketball, which starts here in about 3 more weeks, if you watch him, you'll see him on the sideline. He's cheering, talking trash, man. So shout out to Bruce. And my shout out is someone you both know very well. He was in my wedding. I was in his wedding. And he is a great guy, a great educator. And that's my guy, Sharon Stiff. Sharon, man. I'm in like 3 group chats with that guy, man. One with Lambo and Big D and Ken Oxendon and Samad or whatever. But all jokes aside, man, Sharon, man, great leader, educator. When any one of my children do something well, you know, without me knowing, sometimes he cash apps their money. He checks on them. He checks on me, checks on my wife. Was a great teammate. First time I met Sharon, unlike Jarret, where I heard about Jarret, you know, on the practice field knocking people out, I heard about Sharon. We were in Cochran getting ready to shave guys' heads back when you could initiate and do hazing. And I heard there was somebody upstairs giving out L's on the sticks in Madden or NC2A. And I ran upstairs because that's back when me and Mike, you know, we used to get on the sticks. And I ran up there and I seen Sharon in some black Virginia Tech shorts on, shirt off, listening to Ghostface Killer, dancing and talking trash, man. But as funny as he was, I just want to say on the field, he was an absolute beast, one of the best in Virginia Tech football history. Made his name for himself at Western Branch. Every year he got better. He's a phenomenal father, a phenomenal brother to me and to you guys as well. And even with my businesses, my symposiums, and my workshops for students and kids, Sharon, if I ask him to come, he helps set up. He helps make sure we fundraise, and he's always had my back. So salute to my guy, Shy. He's a big supporter of the VICK757 show and Victory Life, man. So all great shout-outs, gentlemen, man. And shout out to you both, man. It's good to reconnect with you, Jarret, as I know you had a long day. Are you going with the team to Raleigh?
Yes. Yeah, we'll leave.
Okay.
And then
I'm
up here. I gotta, you know, I live like an hour away from here, so I'm head down this road. But
well, we appreciate you
all over.
Yeah, we appreciate you. And to all the fans, man, traveling to Raleigh, please be safe. Tailgating, drink responsibly. Okay. And also, man, take care of your loved ones, man. Holidays are approaching. We need everybody safe and sound. To the players, man, keep fighting hard, keep working hard. Jerod, get them boys right. Ball hang, chalk it up, man makers,
push the truck,
tires. Let's go.
Run the stadium,
man. Thursday night, 7:30, ESPN at NC State, Hokie Nation. Let's go, like we say every episode. Go Hokies.
Hokies.